All right, we'll get underway very promptly. Hello everyone, my name's Claire and I'm part of the global team for ANZ UK Education. Tonight we are going to take you through everything you need to know about teaching in the UK. We'll be covering it over the next hour. We will make it nice and informal as we go, but we'll have time at the end for questions. You can turn your videos on and ask questions at the end, or we'll also be running the chat. So feel free to pop questions in there as we go. We may not get them answered until the end, but we will endeavour to cover all your questions at the same time as well. So we will jump into it. I'm going to pass over to Liv, who is in the Australian office. We'll introduce ourselves shortly. Liv, my thing's not working already. Yeah, pass over for the acknowledgement of country.
Yes, so we respectfully acknowledge the traditional custodians of these lands, the Wurundjeri Woi-wurrung people of the Kulin Nation on which we're meeting today. We recognise the continuing connection to the lands, waters and skies, and we pay our respects to elders past and present and extend that respect to all First Nations people present today.
Thanks, Liv. Okay, so to kick off, I'll just start by introducing myself. So I am a New Zealand trained primary school teacher, and I worked here in New Zealand to save up and headed off on my overseas experience after 3 years. I taught in London and I taught a mixture of relief teaching and long term, and I got into special needs towards the end of my time in London and taught in a special needs school for half a year to finish off, and it was an amazing experience. When I came back to New Zealand, I have been supporting New Zealand-based educators making the move. I help Kiwis going to the UK, and I also do the Australian pipeline as well. Liv.
Yes, I just saw that Lachlan can't hear us. Can anyone else hear us, or is anyone else having problems with the tech? I can hear Claire. I'm not sure if it's working for anyone else. If you more than once, like type in the chat. It might just be a matter of like, yeah, muting back and forth. Yeah, enjoying the audio part. Cool.
I can hear you.
Ah, perfect. Well,
Great, thank you.
I'll keep going. Hopefully that gets worked out. But hey, I'm Liv. I'm from New Zealand originally. I'm a primary teacher, and I moved over to London in 2017 and did my 2 years over there. I did a bit of CRT work over there before I ended up in a recruitment role, and yeah, and then I moved to Melbourne last year after COVID, and I've been working with ANZ UK since then. I was originally on our schools team as a recruiter for the west of Melbourne, and now yeah, I work with people moving from Australia to the UK, which is super exciting. And yeah, my favorite country I've been to is Ireland. I love Ireland. Lots going on there and love the people. So yeah. Kate.
Cool. My turn?
Yeah.
So hi guys, I'm Kate. I am based in the Surrey office in the UK, so just south of London. I started education as a secondary school teacher, 6 years in secondary school, and then I joined ANZ UK in 2009 when it was a very small team in London and just a very small team in Australia, sending people across to the UK. And yeah, just been really part of the growth since then. I left in 2015 to have children and actually went back into education, and then came back last year, and out in the Surrey team, and really enjoying welcoming everyone back across the borders and back into the UK. So it's been really exciting being back.
And I was going to pop a poll in the chat as well if everyone just wants to know, yeah, where's everyone tuning in from? New Zealand, Australia, what state, whereabouts, and then yeah, we can go on to the next bit of yeah what we'll be covering. So yeah, like Claire was saying, this is just an info session. We're trying to cover everything as much as we can. Essentially, yeah, we'll be talking about ANZ UK, you know, intro to us, why I moved to the UK, steps in the journey and our process and whatnot, as well as like visa requirements, where we're actually based in the UK, relocation bonuses, compliance, just general life in the UK, as well as our community aspect. And then yeah, we'll have questions at the end, but you're more than welcome to just put them through as they come through, and we can answer them, or we can do it at the end as well.
Ooh, okay, so a little bit about us. We are a global education recruitment company. We've got offices around the world. Importantly, where we're talking to you about tonight is the UK. So obviously on the map there, that's where Kate is sitting right now. In the Surrey office, we've got a large team in the London office that cover the entire Greater London area. We've got an office in Wales, which is a great spot to consider, and we'll touch a little bit more on all of these areas shortly. And we've got an office in Bristol as well. And we do cover regional England. Again, we'll touch on that just for long-term opportunities. We've also got 9 offices across Australia, and we can support you finding work, daily relief and long-term and permanent positions right across Australia. And we've got a branch of the company here in New Zealand called EP Education, and we also support educators finding work locally here in New Zealand, particularly in Auckland and Wellington. And again, that can be relief or permanent roles. The permanent roles are right across the country. We've got an arm of the company in America, and that's called Scoot Education. There's 14 offices from the West Coast to East Coast. If you are lucky enough to have the right to work in America, we can certainly keep you busy wherever you'd like to go there. The whole idea of having global offices is having that 360-degree support. So we can help you find work in your local country, and then we can also support you on your travelling journey. We have educators starting in Australia, moving on to London, might come to New Zealand for a stint. So we are there for you. It also means for your UK journey, you will have local support in country, so you can talk to someone in the Australian team or myself here in New Zealand through the day, and then you'll have connections with our UK based team early on in your journey. So you know, if you want something, or you'll be connecting with the UK side in the evenings as well. So we're all one team, and we're all here to support you. We're a free service to you, and so our role is just making sure that you have a great experience. It's right, what's our Liv, you're going to cover that next actually, so I'll just pass that over to you.
Yes, so
timing.
Our values, purpose and promise. Yes, it was
Yes,
the most recent photo from we have class of events, so for the start of each term, so that was our Glasto themed one that we had in our office in London literally 2 weeks ago, I think 2-3 weeks. I feel like time flies. Everyone that's just arrived recently into the UK, but yeah, so essentially it's the right educator, right place at the right time. What that journey is for everyone. Some people could be going over in a week, some people could be going over in 3 to 5 plus years. So it's really just the right time for you, and we make that work. And we're just ensuring that we're creating exceptional experiences for both educators and students in our schools that we work with across the globe. So yeah. I should have said as well, has anyone been to the UK before? I'll pop that as a poll in the I know I hadn't been before I moved, but some other people are traveling this summer to Europe. So yeah, okay, you can keep going if you want.
Me?
Yeah, or Claire. Or
oh, sorry. So I was just about to say the Glasto event I actually went to. It was so good. And yeah, it's always really nice going to these events and just watching people meet each other, and it's just such a great community of people doing similar things. And I know that people have met at our events and then gone traveling together, or they've ended up living together. So it's always such a great community of people doing, in similar positions. So that's great. So update on life in the UK, lots of opportunities. Yeah, I mean, I think similar to Australia and I think New Zealand as well, there is a lack of teachers in the UK at the moment. So definitely it is a competitive market, and teachers and teaching assistants, educators coming over from overseas are always really sought after and really valued. So it's our role to make sure that you're looked after and that we provide the best experience for you. Summer holidays are approaching in the UK. We cannot wait. The days are long here at the moment. The sun is shining. There's a real summer holiday feel to the UK at the moment, which is just the best time of year. And educator events happening constantly. There's constantly things going on. I've got a Surrey event happening in 2 weeks' time, just getting everybody together in a pub and just enjoying each other's company.
Love it. Sounds good. Pub in summer is the best in the UK.
Pub in summer is the best in the UK. There's nothing quite like it.
Nothing quite like it.
Yeah, so reasons to go. Everyone's got their own motivations to head over to the UK or Wales and England. My big reason was travel, and I think that is most people's sort of fundamental thing to get you over there. And it's amazing. You're popping over to Europe, you can be in Europe within an hour plane trip, or a couple of hours on the train. And flights are super expensive and everything's really accessible to you, but it's also, you get so much more from the journey. So career development, having any international experience on your CV is really valuable to you. It can be a stepping stone onto international schools and working in the international sector, or even when you're coming back to your home country, it's a point of difference from other applicants, and it's always can be a really good entry level into other leadership, middle management, and climbing the ladder as well. Community is huge, and you'll hear about that tonight. As Kate said, trying to get educators together for those sorts of things. Actually, Kate, I just was looking at one of my educators who's arrived, and you've sent her an email introducing her to everyone else in your area, which is really nice. So it's always just trying to make people feel welcomed and connected over there.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it can be quite overwhelming, can't it? Like Claire, you've done it, Liv, you've done it. I've actually not taught abroad, and I just in such awe of everybody, teachers coming over, educators coming over and hitting the UK and getting involved in work and moving their whole life over here. So yeah, so trying to kind of create that community and support network as much as we can is really important.
Yeah, except community in the UK is insane. So yeah.
And I think also that that's one of the biggest things that you will ever do in your life. It's a huge thing to do, to relocate and live in another country at any point in your life. And it will change the projection of your life. It will change who you are as a person. It's massive. So it's that's a really big thing.
You learn a lot about yourself that you might learn.
Yeah.
Otherwise. But yeah, so steps in your journey. So this again is super varied for everyone, and what that looks like in the timeline. But essentially, yeah, from here you'll have an initial contact point with our team on the ground here, either in Australia or New Zealand. That just we'll talk through like the visa, any questions you have, talking about all the different work opportunities, etc., what you're looking for. And then yeah, once that's from the 12-month mark out, you'll have contact from the UK team. So depending on whereabouts in the UK you're going, whether that's Surrey, so you'll probably have Kate, or you'll have someone from the Bristol team, the Wales team, or like London as well. And then yeah, they're essentially your UK consultant. So they have pretty regular touch points with you, leading up to your departure, talk about roles, preferences, and just like forming that relationship with you really. And then kind of 2 to 3 months before you're due to leave your country, our compliance team will reach out. That's where we help with police checks, registration forms, references, etc. Just so you're cleared for work before you head off from your country, before you head to the UK. And within that, you do a registration with your consultant as well. And 5, cleared for work, you're good to go. And then 6, you're in the classroom. But like I said, that journey is different for everyone. Some people I speak to, they're leaving next week. Some people, they're not leaving till June 2025. So that is different for everyone. But that's the general process and steps in the journey.
Yeah. So on this, Liv, like sometimes people get anxious that we haven't started their documentation process before the 2 to 3 months prior to them starting work, but we actually can't, because documents will be out of date if we do it too early on in the process. So it really is, it's kind of a pinch point of kind of 2 to 3 months prior to them starting work in the UK, which can sometimes be complicated because people go traveling for 2 to 3 months. So we try to make sure that we've done it before you leave the country, but also not too soon that then documents will be out of date.
If you're traveling Eurosummer for 5 months, then we have to do it when you're might be in Spain when it happens, but yeah.
Teachers like to be organised, so it's always nice ticking those things off.
Yeah,
so.
but we have heaps of resources we can give you to, make sure you've got all those things online. So when that period does come, we can
and I just think it's also trusting us. Like we do this day in, day out, so we have such a knowledgeable compliance team. So it is, the compliance team will be able to guide you through those steps. So not panicking, not worrying. We will get you clear to work when you want to get started.
Yeah, absolutely.
Kate, we'll leave it. This is really important to know when you're at the early stages of your planning, understanding how the UK year is different from Australia and New Zealand's is really important. So pass over to you, Kate.
Yeah, so just the terms wise, I think so we're currently in summer term at the moment. We've just had a half-term break. I think a lot of the people coming from overseas really quite enjoy our half-term breaks. I think it's something that you guys don't tend to get in Australia and New Zealand. So all of our terms are split into 2, and we do get a half term to kind of catch our breath. So the autumn term, so this is the start of the academic year in September, and it's kind of when a lot of new teachers will be joining the school. There'll be a lot of new personnel, so that's the kind of main time that schools will be recruiting for, is that autumn term, if they're looking for a long-term role. Saying that, however, schools do know that there tends to be an influx of overseas teachers coming in the December-January period, when it's the end of your academic year. So if you are still looking for a contract in the spring, for the spring term starting in January, that is absolutely, often quite easy to do for the schools here. And then summer term is the most glorious time to work in schools. It's relaxed, you've got sports days, you've got trips, you've got the children running around in t-shirts and shorts, and sort of just, it's a really, I would certainly advise, if people looking at doing a contract for the summer term, because it's just lovely to be a part of the school community during that summer period.
Yeah, when is everyone looking to head to the UK? You can pop it in the chat. Everyone's different.
To be aware of with your planning is that if you are going to do relief teaching, or CRT, or a supply as the UK call it, it does start drying up from sort of June, June onwards, Kate? So, it's not a great time. June's not a good time to get there if you're relying on working straight away. It's great for the weather and traveling and things like that, but you need to have a bit of savings, because then you've got the 6-week summer holiday period to factor in before the new academic begins. So just something to be aware of. Otherwise, if you are looking just to go and do supply teaching, then you can arrive anytime you like. So you could get there in February or October. We just work around whatever arrival works best for you for the relief teaching, supply teaching.
January is cold and miserable, and the days are really short, but I always say that you only I think you earn your summer if you've arrived in the winter months. Otherwise, I think if you arrive in summer, I'm like, nah, you've not earned it. So you definitely earn your summer if you arrive in the winter months.
Yeah, absolutely. So once you've sort of worked out a good time that suits you to get there, the next thing that you need to know about and focus on is your visa. Unless you've got a British passport, you can't just turn up to the UK and start working. So you do need to go through a visa application process. If you've got a British passport, absolute gold, you're extremely lucky, or an Irish passport, then there's nothing that you need to do. You can just turn up whenever you like and you're away. otherwise, the most common visa our educators go on, one of the ones is called a Youth Mobility Scheme visa. This has just been reviewed and updated, and it's is that in action now, Liv, for Australia?
Well, it's been confirmed the date, so it comes into play end of January 2024 next year.
Oh, right, yeah. So it's a little bit confusing initially. Currently, it's a 2-year visa. It's a once in a lifetime visa that you can get, and currently to be eligible you need to be under 31 at the time of applying. You need to be on there's a range of passports, but generally Commonwealth citizens, and you need to show evidence that you've got around $5,000 in a bank account in your name. You can apply for this 6 months before you arrive. And as I said, it's 2 years, and that starts ticking from your day of entry into the UK. Next month from New Zealand, this visa turns into a 3-year visa. So anyone sort of applying from now on from New Zealand, it's likely you will get a 3-year visa, and you can be under 35 at the time of applying. So they have raised quite significantly the age. And in Australia, that's going to tick over in January. So those new rules will come into effect then. The cost of the visa all up, you're looking at around £1,200. So you sort of double that. And a big chunk of what you pay for that visa is for healthcare. So it's £470 per year to be able to get access to their free public healthcare system. So it means if you need surgery when you're living over there, or you break your leg or need any medical attention, you're going to be covered under the UK healthcare system. So you are paying for that initially. It's a bit like compulsory health insurance sort of thing. So it may seem quite steep, but it's peace of mind for those 2 years or 3 years that you'll be living there. We don't know how that price will be impacted once the 3-year visa comes out. We haven't had information on that at this stage. If you are over 35 and you have a grandparent who was born in the UK, then you are eligible for an ancestry visa. There's no age restriction on that, and that gives you 5 years to live in the UK, and it can lead into residency and citizenship if you want to go down that route. You'll see that this one's a lot more expensive, £3,600, and that's again because it's charging you an annual fee for the healthcare surcharge, and because it's a 5-year visa, that's why it's a lot more expensive. Some of our educators who are eligible for ancestry and have that grandparent link will still go on the youth mobility scheme if they're planning just to go for 2 years. There are other options for skilled workers if you're an experienced maths, science or Mandarin teacher. Kate, chip in here because you're really good at this, but it's a tricky thing to secure, but it's something that we can talk to you about.
Yeah, schools, as I said before, we don't have enough teachers in the UK, so schools are open to sponsorship, but it is a huge cost on the school. So they and also for them to sponsor somebody who they can't interview in person is quite a gamble for them to take as well. So, but we do work with a few trusts that have maybe 10 to 15 schools as part of trusts, and they tend to be just more competitive with their staffing solutions and looking at sponsorship options. So yeah, it is something that we can do if sponsorship's what you need.
There are another couple of visas that you could look at if you studied at the University of Melbourne or University of Queensland and graduated in the last 5 years. There can be some pathways for you there, or if you're a partner or spouse of an ancestry visa or a UK passport holder, you can't take a dependent or spouse under the youth mobility. We've got a visa support team, and they can take all of this job away from you and get it underway and manage it on your behalf. So we do have that service available, and yeah, we're here to take you through that. So you need to get this process underway and have that, and then they can take two or 3 months sometimes to process. So, you know, the more time you give yourself with this process, the less stress there will be. But yeah, we can chat to you in more detail about this. So we've touched a little bit on this. As I said at the start, we have offices in Wales, Bristol, Surrey and London. And we also cover regional England for permanent opportunities. If you really want just to go and do some more short-term contracts and day-to-day supply teaching, then you're best going to base yourself somewhere in either London, Surrey, Bristol or Wales. And we'll go into a little bit more detail on that. Yeah. This is Tyler here. He's also in our global team. It's nice. We've updated our photos. I'm quite enjoying seeing them. So some of you may have actually chatted to Tyler, and these are some of our educators who actually landed. They're in Wales actually. So he's an Australian that's gone to Wales. Yeah. So yeah, some of you may have already chatted to Tyler.
Surrey. Oh no, you're starting with
Yes.
London.
Well, you could do.
Oh, I'm
You
sorry.
probably should do London too.
I can do London too.
You do this
yeah.
one, Kate. You know more than me.
Yeah. So I go into London once a week. Yeah, it's really easy to commute to London from where I am. I'm just in Surbiton, which is in zone 6 of London. So London is broken into zones. Zone 1 is the central zone, and then it goes out 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. There's a great team in London. They're fantastic, and it's divided into your northeast, northwest, southeast, southwest teams. So depending on where you wanted to be located within the London area, you would then be put in touch with a member of the team, the relevant team. Again, I've got a lot of people who will come over initially in my care, and then their plans will change, and I'll transfer them to somebody in London. That's fine. We all work really closely together. It is definitely the mentality of one team, one dream, and you know they're just great people, and the team in London are just fantastic and super supportive. So yeah, so I then. What should I keep going on London? What are the benefits of London? I don't know. What I mean, London is just, you know, there's so much going on. It's a hub of activity. The city that never sleeps. It's everyone. You know, if you love city life and you really want to experience London, then it's you know, it's so exciting to be a part of. Lots of work in London. No, of course, you know, it's a big city. There's lots of supply work, so yeah, easy to get into London. Cost of living, definitely London is expensive, and I think probably a lot of people are watching kind of chat functions or on Facebook groups about kind of accommodation in London, and yeah, it is competitive, but rest assured, in my 7 years of working at ANZUK, I've never known a teacher to be homeless. So you do find somewhere to live, but it just is competitive, and it is that when you touch down in the UK, having a bed and breakfast or B&B for the first 3 to 4 weeks is a really good idea, and giving yourself that time to try and go to places and see places to live. So I live out in Surrey, as I said. I'm in zone 6, so I do have direct access to London on the overground. The Surrey, if you did want to look at Surrey, there's a southwest train line, which is basically the lifeline of London for Surrey. It can get you anywhere. Yeah, Surrey is beautiful. It's best of both worlds in that you've got the access to the countryside, Surrey countryside, but also access to London. Slightly cheaper cost of living. Still not the cheapest though. Surrey is quite a nice place to live, so it's not the cheapest place, but cheaper than London. Lovely community schools. We work with some fantastic community schools, very supportive. It probably doesn't have the same staff turnover as London does. So there's a nice supportive network within the schools. Yeah, have I covered London and Surrey? What have I missed?
Yeah, that's great. I think that's all. Yeah, easy enough. We can go on to the next. I'm happy to to do these. Yeah, so we've
I actually, I'll stop. I actually
Oh, do you
work
think
in
you're
a
going?
school. I work in a school in Surrey, and I can like do a little camera sort of showing. This is the school that I work out of. It's a secondary school.
Um,
So there you go.
Office.
The school I got locked in last
Coming
night.
in live from sorry. So yeah, if you're not thinking London, or if you're not quite sure about Bristol, sorry, London, we also have an office in Newport, which is in Wales. That's quite South Wales, super close to Cardiff, which is obviously the capital of Wales. Super cool city, Cardiff. I haven't mentioned Newport before, but yeah, it's super vibrant. Heaps kind of going on. It's definitely a lot cheaper to live in Wales than if you're living in like London, for example, which you can see there, get like around £250 to £300 a month. Obviously a bit more if you're thinking for a 1 to 2 bedroom flat in like Cardiff, but yeah, it is a lot cheaper than London, which yeah, obviously great lifestyle. You're close to the rolling hills and whatnot, but also yeah, like the music scene's awesome there as well. So yeah, we can support across Newport and Cardiff if you're living in Wales. And then Bristol. Bristol is, yeah, super cool city. I had some flatmates who actually ended up moving there from London. They did 2 years in London and wanted something a bit less hectic. So they moved there. Super creative. It's where Banksy, the street artist, is from. Yeah, small enough to be friendly, but it feels big because it is still a big city. Great transport links as well. It's still again a bit cheaper than London, but it's not like as cheap as Wales. And yeah, like I said, great transport links to the seaside and countryside. They've got an international airport there too, I believe. So yeah, something a bit different, but yeah, Bristol is awesome. So yeah.
Those regional cities are great because they do
Yeah.
have the international airports, and so it's actually easier travel than it is living in London, because it's cheaper to get to the airport. It's easier to check in, it's smaller airports. You get all the budget airlines flying from there, and yeah, it's really, really good.
Yeah, and Angie's also said she's looking at living in maybe Manchester, Leeds, or Birmingham. Whilst we don't have offices there, so we can't support for casual work, we do have a permanent team in the UK who are able to support for like those more longer term roles outside of office locations. So yes, we can definitely have a chat to you and talk about that further.
Getting around.
Yeah, getting around. Public transport, like I know in London, is amazing. You've got the underground buses, National Rail, similar to what Kate was saying with the Southwest train line, goes all the way from Surrey all the way up to London too. So you could be there in like what, 25, 30 minutes, sometimes less.
Yeah, from Surbiton it's 19 minutes. It's a fast train.
It's like nuts. Sometimes you can't even get within London within that amount of time. So on there. So yeah, public transport or walking obviously, or a bike, car if you're probably living in like Wales, potentially in Bristol as well, but you definitely don't need a car in London. Yeah, or bike. But yeah. Anything else?
I cycled to work this morning.
Yeah. We also have heaps of resources available as well, which will be shared with you. This is our, like we call the Wee Bible, the UK info pack. Within that, we also have like a pre-departure checklist. So it's just things you get to do before you fly and after you land. But yeah, this whole slideshow will be shared to you after as well. So you'll be able to click in and have a look over this. But yeah, just kind of talking all about that in terms of like when you're flying, travel insurance, SIM cards, your travel card, how are you going to take your money over there and use that, make sure they're all clear for work, and yeah, attending an event beforehand, which we'll probably go into in a little bit. And then yeah, after you land, you're opening your bank account up, applying for your national insurance number. There's all these things which I know sometimes in the rush to head over that you might forget about, but yeah, we have heaps of resources available to you. So yeah. Is that me as well? Finding somewhere to live. Well, I can talk. I don't know, Kate, if you want to talk about Surrey perhaps, but I'm sure it's like kind of across the globe.
Yeah, you go, because I think everybody's situation is so different. Everyone's experience is so different.
It is really,
we've got people who have gone and done, house shares and dog sat, and kind of it is a journey, and it's definitely the first few weeks are a bit of a okay. I love that. Bit of an adventure, but as I say, in the 7 years that I've worked at ANZ UK, I've never had a homeless teacher or educator, and we won't let that happen. You know, like we just wouldn't let it ever happen. So yeah, but yeah, I'll let you talk through it.
So yeah, probably the most common question we get asked is, you know, how do I find somewhere to live, and everything that encompasses that. So there's a few different kind of variables to that, whether you're looking for a share house with other people, or if you're looking for like a single, 1 or 2 bedroom, with just a friends or a partner, or even if you want to make your own brand new flat with 5 of you or whatever. So yeah, there's heaps and heaps of resources in terms of like Facebook groups, Facebook communities, like Aussies in London. You got Kiwis in London. I found both my rooms through Kiwis in London, and you don't have to be just a Kiwi to be on that page. You can be from anywhere in the world. They have like weekly flatting posts, so people will just post their room out for rent in there. There's also smaller, other websites like Spare Room, Rightmove. There's literally so much going on. If you're looking for a temporary accommodation, obviously you got a hostel. I know I stayed in a hostel for a few weeks before I found my flat over there. But you got Airbnbs, and you've also got a sublet as well. It's essentially when you're going into an existing flat, they're going away for a few weeks, and you can just go and stay in their room for a short period of time. But I mean, that could be quite a while. And I've got a friend who moved back to Melbourne for a year, so she solicited her room for a year to someone. So when she does go back to London, she's got her room there. But yeah, they could be from like a week to longer. So yeah, and we have a blog as well, which is on our blog page. But yeah, essentially just like doing heaps of research before you go, areas you might like and what your budget is. That's really important to know. Things that you find important in a house. I know I was looking for somewhere that was close to transport links, like to the tube, and things like that. These things you don't always know as well before you get there and you're actually physically going to view the place. But yeah, and we've kind of said allowing up to 6 weeks to find accommodation on the ground. Obviously it can be shorter. Some people have a place before they even get there. Some people it takes a bit longer, but there's so many variables to finding accommodation, but just being flexible when needed. So yeah, hopefully that kind of covered things. Most of the like accommodation over there is like filled. So there's like will be a bed, be furnished, which is great. So that definitely helps the cost. But yeah, some bills and like council rates sometimes may or they may not be included in the rental price. But yeah, we can definitely assist with that. And our Facebook community, like our Facebook group and like our live chat is awesome as well. I know people post like rooms in there, or like sublets and stuff as well. Or if you want to make a whole house with other teachers or educators moving over, that would be the dream. So yeah, if you have any questions, just direct them, put them in the chat or direct them when you have a call with us. But yeah, it's a big topic.
It is, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, do you want to talk about the work options?
Yeah, probably, yeah, okay. So yeah, so starting with your day-to-day supply work, I think that's relief teaching with you guys. So yeah, we're really it's great. We've got this ready to work app. So you log yourself as available or unavailable. So if you've gone traveling for the weekend and you don't want to work on the Monday or the Friday, mark yourself as unavailable so you don't receive phone calls from anybody in the office. Or if you do want to work, then you mark yourself as available, and then we have this incredible system where a map comes up. We put a booking on from a school, the map comes up, and then it shows us who is closest to that booking. So ideally, we will send you to the closest booking available to you. Build relationships with a number of schools. Oh yeah, I mean, once you've gone into, so it is quite daunting when you first land here if you're doing casual relief work, and you'll be going into different schools for the first few weeks, but once you've gone into those different schools, they do tend to rebook, so then you will start to get to know your favorite schools. On the app that you do have the ability to kind of to make a list of non-favorite schools. So if you've gone somewhere that you haven't enjoyed, you can put it as a non-favorite, and then if they have a booking, you will not, we will see that it's not your non-preferred. Contract roles, I mean, there's short and long contract roles. So you're still a temporary worker if you're working through us. So you'll still be paid weekly. And and you still have that flexibility that if the job is not right for you, you can terminate that employment at any point. Ideally, if you're in a longer term role, you will give as much notice as possible so that the school can find a replacement for you, but you do still have that flexibility that you can just say, no, this isn't for me, thank you so much for the opportunity, but no, thank you. Contract roles are great. Like, I know that a lot of people come over just to travel, but a lot of our schools do still allow a degree of flexibility, so they do still know that that if they do still allow for a Friday off here or a Monday off here to if you're going for a long weekend somewhere. But contract roles are great because they just allow that stability. You can also have a higher pay scale. So once you're in a contract role, you would be paid at main pay scale. So the equivalent to a main pay scale teacher in the UK. So salaries are better in contracts, stability is better. The community is better, but yeah, I mean, it's horses for courses. People come over for different things, and we provide for both. Employed directly for the school through the school, yeah. So I've got probably about 5 or 6 educators that I've worked with this year who are now going to be taken on by the school permanently. This is great because, again, they're going to get paid over the holiday period. So even though when you get paid through us, through a contract, you get a daily rate, and your holiday pay is rolled up into your daily rate. So instead of us working out your salary, so your annual salary divided by 365 days, we work it out at 195 days, which are per school year, so the school days that you work. So even though you're on a higher day rate, you will not be paid during the holiday period. But if you're taking on directly through the school, then you will be getting that holiday pay. So that's always a bonus.
Perfect. Do you want to talk about this 2K if that's your area of expertise?
Yeah.
The key stages and stuff.
Yeah, so key stages, I think can be a bit overwhelming when you first arrive in the UK, all the acronyms that are used in teaching. So key stages, you've got your early years, which is 0 to 3 nurseries, reception, and up to reception. So up to ages 5, really. Then you've got your key stage 1 to 2 primary school teaching, which is year 1 and 2, and then years 3 to 6. So key stage 1 and key stage 2. And then you've got your secondary key stage 5. So you're looking at secondary, you're looking at age 11 up to ages 18. Type of school, mainstream, state schools. So yeah, so comprehensive schools, mainstream schools, and then we've got private independent. Sorry, I'm being distracted by Sophie. Is reception kinder or prep year? Oh, I don't know. Liv, I don't know the Australian equivalent. Is reception kinder? So reception is ages 4 to 5. What would that be?
Yeah, so it's essentially
Age 5.
yeah, different in New Zealand as well, which is confusing. So yeah, essentially your reception is you're actually still at a school, you're still at a primary school, is that right, Kate? But it's
Yeah,
a reception class, but it's
yeah.
different to like a kindy or whatever, but yeah, it's the same as prep, I believe. You still up to ages 5.
Yeah.
But yeah, confusing. New Zealand, Australia and the UK are different now. They all work.
Yeah, I think in the
Yeah, so
UK
you
we
might get
we start school quite early, so they start school
Yeah.
at 4. But the reception class is very similar to nursery. They've got kind of a free flow play. There's not much structure, but they are part of the school system. So yeah, reception is kind of where they start school.
Yeah.
So I'm just going to go through. So academies and trusts, these are big organizations of schools, clusters of school groups. They're great to work as part of because often they have quite a collaborative feel amongst the trust, and you can move from one school to the next, and also there's sharing of good practice, good resources. So we work with quite a few academies and trusts that are great. A pupil referral unit. so these are children who have not coped well in mainstream schools, maybe due to behaviour, due to external circumstances, due to academically not keeping up, and then they get moved to a pupil referral unit. Usually this is for a short-term measure and they are trying to get back into mainstream. So often with a pupil referral unit, you'd be working with a maximum of 5 children in a classroom, but often the behaviour can be quite challenging. We have had quite a lot of teachers, teaching assistants over the past work in pupil referral units and really enjoy it. The challenge is very different to mainstream. Like in the moment, the day can be quite challenging, but there's less planning, marking. So often the kind of work-life balance can be a bit better. Special education needs, yeah, again, we do work with a lot of special education needs schools. Some of them are just amazing. The facilities they have, you know, we've got one with a hydro pool, we've got one with a play centre, like sensory centre. They can be really, really inspiring places to work in. And yeah, the rest of them, I guess, you know, it is what it says. Co-ed, single sex. We work with such a large range of schools, and we do try and fit the school around like the right person. It is really important. That's what we do.
Definitely. And then yeah, I can. Kate, do you want to talk about this, or I can, or you might be
support staff,
like teaching assistant. Yeah. Do you want to talk about
that? So there's, you know, schools are again calling out for support staff in every single aspect. We have science technicians, we've got administrators, we've got a lot of teaching assistants that work one-to-one with a child in primary schools, secondary schools. We've even got exam invigilators, so people who are just sitting in exam halls and watching the kids not cheat. Lots of, you know, pupil referral units and special education, they do tend to have quite a lot of funding to support extra teaching assistants. There is much more one-to-one, so we do work with a lot of those types of schools. So yeah, I mean, there's just a lot of work available for anybody who enjoys working with children and in schools. Yeah.
Yeah, sometimes we'll have partners going over or friends who are in a different industry, but sometimes in other areas it can take 6 weeks to a couple of months to find a job. So this can be a good thing, you know, to be earning some money and keeping busy while you're interviewing for something else, if you've got other people traveling with you or partner. So relocation bonuses, we do offer some support around moving over there. Our ambassador scheme, I'm not sure whether we've did we talk about that a little bit? So that's under, if you're going over to be a reliever or supply teacher, if it's a win-win, it's sort of like a security blanket for you. So it's a guarantee from us that we will keep you busy. If you want 5 days a week guaranteed work, then you'll sign up to our ambassador scheme. We can also do a guarantee if you're wanting a bit more flexibility. That guarantee could be 3 days a week if that suits you more. So if you sign up for that before you leave country, then you'll be eligible for a £250 relocation bonus. That is up to £250. Is that your flights over, Liv?
It's tax-free.
Yeah, and it's tax-free, so yeah, it's up to $250. Obviously that won't probably pay for your whole flight.
Yeah.
Unless you can get a $500 flight, it would be great.
You find a bargain.
maybe on Scoot Airlines. But yeah, and that's after 60 days you've worked with us. So yeah, essentially a term gets paid out to you, and like Kate said, it's tax-free. So yeah.
And then our other, we've got a £500 relocation bonus available if you have accepted a long-term position before you leave. So you might be wanting to go to Surrey, chatting to Kate, wanting a year, a primary teaching role. If Kate will be lining you up digital interviews, and if you are successful on a digital interview with a school or a phone interview and accept that role, then after your first term at that school, you'll be paid £500 to help you.
Yeah, I think it's a recognition that it is quite expensive moving over here. So it is kind of, I think these bonus payments are that recognition that, you know, thank you so much for moving your life over here, and you know, let us try and support you in some way in managing those costs.
Yeah, absolutely. We also have referral bonus out there as well. So if you tell any of your friends who are looking to make the move about us, and they register and head over to work, after they've worked 10 days, you'll be paid $150 referral for each educator that you refer. Again, just as a thank you. We've most of our educators going over do go over through referrals from other educators, and we love that, and that's what we would like to carry on with.
We've had one of our educators in Surrey has just made £700 on referral bonuses.
Wow.
Sorry.
That's awesome.
She's just signed all her friends up, so it's great.
It's a lot of shoes, or a good trip. It's a good trip.
It's a solid trip.
Yeah. Actually, this is under here, just touching on this really briefly. There are, just to be super confusing, there's two different ways that you can get paid in the UK. You can either get paid through PAYE, which is what we're used to on this side of the world. So you just pay as you earn your regular tax, the tax rate. And there's nothing to do, but you do have the option of working through an umbrella company, which is sort of like a bit like setting yourself up as a sole trader, and an external company manages everything for you. It used to be really good doing that, and used to be really winning. The UK changed the tax laws, and it's changed a little bit now, but there are benefits on working through an umbrella company. It's just important, if you are comparing pay rates or anything like that, that you are clear on whether a pay rate that you've seen somewhere is through an umbrella company or PAYE. Generally, well, what happens is the umbrella company rate is always higher than a PAYE rate, and that's to cover the extra fees and things. So it's a little bit confusing, but we will cover that in our discussions with you, but it's just something to be aware of at this point, because you may see that in some of the communications out there.
It's covered massively, like in the registration, and also like if you did start on a PAYE contract and then decided that you want to go through umbrella, it takes literally like a day to change it. It's quite easy to switch, so and the other way as well, vice versa.
Yeah, they seem like quite scary things, but as Kate said, it is easy to move over, and you're not signing your life away to anything either. So
I just saw a really good question, Claire, pop up about the pay.
I haven't seen the questions.
What did I just say? I can't read them.
If you do supply teaching, are you paid based on your experience, or is it a set rate?
Yeah, that's a really good question, and something that gets asked quite a lot. So on supply teaching, we have one set rate for schools that we can't negotiate on, and it has to be quite competitive. So with day-to-day relief, you will have a set rate, but if you do a contract, then we can negotiate, and that's when your levels of experience, expertise, subject knowledge will come in for us to be able to negotiate as hard as we can to get the best pay possible. Did that answer it?
Sorry, I haven't seen the chats. Oh, sorry. We talked about this one, but community events, as you've heard, it's huge for us as a company. It's something that we place a lot of time and thought and effort and energy into, creating these opportunities for connection. So pre-departure events will be run in your own countries before you go. Is there a Melbourne one coming up Liv?
Yes, there's one coming up on July. I think it's the 7th. Yeah,
Actually, I
let me
think it's
just-
the 6th.
Is it the
Do you
6th? The
remember? It's
6th.
birthday, I know.
Yes. Yeah.
And there's also a Sydney one
Yep.
set for the 6th. The
Yep.
Auckland one date is yet to be confirmed, but it will be the following week in July. So that's great. It's really nice, just especially a lot of our educators do travel over alone. So it's really nice getting to meet some other people doing exactly the same thing you're doing. And even if it's just, oh, let's meet for a coffee, you know, a couple of days after we arrive, it's just another face from home that you'll be able to, you know, catch up with when you get there. We've got a Facebook group that is quite active called Brickbound Educators. We will send you the link out in the next couple of days when we send out the follow-up from this webinar. So make sure you jump on there and join that group. And then our welcome events. So as you saw at the start of the slides, the photo from our most recent welcome event, we host those at the start of each term. So trying to capture all of our newly arrived educators. So the next one, I think Liv will be there hosting that one as well.
Yes.
So actually Liv's going to Glastonbury too next week. I
Yeah.
must tip that in there.
Yeah, fly out
Glastonbury.
next
She's
week.
doing the real thing.
Yeah, I'm very excited. Second
it's
time
amazing.
with John.
Apparently
yeah,
getting
no,
tickets
I'll
to
be
that
over-
is no mean
Very lucky.
feat. So.
But yeah, I'll be over there for the October event, which will be mid-October. Yeah, so which is exciting.
Oh,
So,
great.
yeah.
So yeah, lots of things. And then
Happening.
we've also got a whole lot of sports teams as well that you can join. So if you play netball or rugby or league or quite a range of different things, you can join teams. A lot of them are social teams. Some of our educators just join as a supporter, social supporter, which is fine as well. You can just go along and have some beersies and cheer them along. So that's really, really cool to get to know, you know, some new people as well. Anything I've missed there?
No, I think that's great. Yeah.
Cool. By us, I think importantly, we have got the in-country support for you before you go, and we've got the amazing support for you on the ground when you get into London. We've got into England, I should say, and Wales. We've got a really great big team over there, and they are there for you as well. So sometimes you'll look on a website for an agency and it may only have 2 people, you know, in the office over there. So, you know, you want enough support there to take you through your whole journey. We've got a really, really good blog. You can go on there and type in anything like living in Surrey or what, you know, Key Stage 2 resources. There's so much information on there. It's a wealth of knowledge, so you can just jump on the blog. It's also got past recordings of webinars, including teaching in Bristol, teaching in Wales. So there's some area specific recordings on there. We've got a learning management system that you're given access to early in the journey. That's lots of really good online learning. If you need to maintain your PD hours for your Australian requirements or anything else, then you can tick those off under our learning management system. The info pack, you'll get that quite early on in the journey. As Liv said, we call that our Bible, and it's got absolutely everything in there. The 360 is support, and then the local and global opportunities. So just that chance to be able to teach. It's not just about teaching in the UK. We can support you within Australia or New Zealand, and if you can teach across the States as well.
I've just chucked in our Brickbound Facebook group link as well, so you're more than welcome to join that.
Cool.
And a link to our blog as well. So yeah, if anyone has any questions, I guess, yeah, Kentucky, we have a partnership with them, 5% off discount, which is great. I did one when I moved over for a month, and yeah, I met one of my now best friends on the trip. Be a great way to hit off, you know, as many countries and cities as you can, and yeah, make some lifelong friends. But yeah, essentially we've got a competition going, hashtag going away with ANZUK. Post your travel picture, tag us, use the hashtag, and you go on the draw to win. The different prizes every month. I think this month it's a Airbnb voucher, which is epic. We have Kentucky vouchers as well. So yeah, and it's just running for the next, I think quite a few months. So yeah.
Must commend our time. Quite kind of often we'll go over a little bit, but we're really wound that up nicely, so we can roll into questions. I can't see the chat, sorry, Liv. So
that's okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, so yes, essentially though, thank you for joining in. We will be sending a follow-up tomorrow, or tomorrow Friday. There'll be a form in there if you just want to fill that out. Then we can take that next step, and get the process started. Like we said, everyone's different, but yeah, if you have any friends, colleagues, partners, whatever, that might also want to work through us locally or over the UK, let us know. But yeah, we hope you enjoyed the session, learned a bit. I know I've definitely learned a bit from Kate, just in her speaking. But yeah, if you have any questions, feel free to turn your mic off and just ask us, or we'll pop them through in the chat. But they are coming through. So yeah, I can just read them out and we can just answer them. So Beth's asked, Bethany, can you get contracts just for a term, or are you better to just do supply teaching?
Yeah, terms are great. Yeah, I think a term is great. I think just for supply teaching, I mean, some people love supply teaching, but a lot of people find it can be quite wearing, not knowing where you're going in the morning, getting up, going to different schools constantly. So yeah, a term, covering sickness, covering some maternity leave, is always a great option.
Yeah, definitely. And I know Lachlan's asked if we're looking for accommodation, who will help us find the right areas to live in. Again, depending on what area you're living in, our team on the ground can definitely help support you and give you advice. We've got guides on different areas to live in, especially I know with London, it's a huge city. It can be overwhelming to pick what suburb do I live in. Similar like Melbourne, where do you live? There's obviously hot spots that Aussies and Kiwis and Canadians flock to. But we can definitely advise you on that. We'll send you a blog link as well, which has all the Facebook groups and things to join.
Yeah, I think that's the benefit of not having accommodation sort of tied up when you arrive. I think it's nice to get a B&B, and then you can kind of go and look at different areas. And really, if you are looking to do casual relief work, then public transport is really key to figuring out where to locate yourself.
Yeah, definitely. And a few people also ask, what's the average supply teaching rate? Which can be
it's hard to tell, because it depends. Like obviously Wales and Bristol will be different, and Surrey and London a bit different. But and also depending on whether you're a teaching assistant or a teacher, that's going to be different. And also depending on if you're going to go through PAYE or umbrella, it is going to be different. So it's hard to give an exact rate, but really you'd be looking at between 150 to 170 on umbrella, I think.
Yeah.
Sorry, that's pounds per day.
Pound, yes. And again, depending on like how many years experience you've got as well, that can.
Yeah, but that's not on day to day. That doesn't change on day to day. But again, if you were looking for a contract rate, then you can do anything up to kind of M6. So an M6 is a main pay scale teacher with 6 years experience. Then you'd be looking on at between 205 to 215 pounds per day. So you can really start to move your salary upwards.
Yeah, which is different to here in Australia, because if you're typically supply teachers are paid potentially more than if you're on a contract, whereas in the UK you're paid more if you're on a contract than if you're a supply teacher.
100% get paid more on a contract. That's one thing where we come in. We do negotiate on your behalf. We will look after you as much as possible and try and get those schools to really value your experience and expertise.
In the consultant on the ground in the UK and Australia, we will help confirm your daily rate and talk to you about that in a bit more. But yeah, like Kate said, it's so different for everyone, whether you're a teaching assistant or a teacher or whatnot. So yeah. And Alice has also asked, what's the average travel time to schools for supply schools?
So on the ambassador scheme, I think you have to, it's up to an hour. Sometimes if a pre-booking comes in and it's like an hour 10, we will ask and be like, we understand it's quite far. Do you like it? If it's a nice school, like often some of the Surrey schools might be an hour commute because they're just a bit further out on the Southwest train line, but often they're just beautiful community schools. So I would say realistically, the ideal is under an hour. Sometimes it can be an hour 10, an hour 15, but unlikely anything longer than that.
Yeah, I was usually traveling
And
about
we
45 to
always
50
ask.
in
We always
Oslo.
ask. You can
Yeah.
always say no.
Yeah. Yeah, and like Kate said, on like the London team, for example, it's split into the 4 different regions as well, so areas. So that also plays a part in that.
Yeah, and the
So,
system has a map, so
yeah.
you know we'll see who's closest to that school. So if you're too far away, then you'll come up further down on the map.
Yeah. Is there any other questions at all?
Any other questions?
Burning questions?
But come over, guys. It's on like London is buzzing at the moment, and it's so exciting speaking to everybody who has come over, and all of their everyone went away over the half-term period. I mean, it puts me to shame the amount of travel that people managed to fit in the 2 years that they're here. Now possibly 3 years that they're here. It puts me to shame, and you know, really, it's very inspiring to hear how much everyone manages to fit in their time. And yeah, at the educator events before half term, just everyone was just buzzing and just loving life and just full of enthusiasm for and what they've done. So it's great.
And then Angie just asked as well, what's the process to now start working with one-on-one with you guys to discuss and move further? So yeah, great question. So yeah, essentially in our follow-up, which will be either tomorrow or Friday, we'll send in a form and just like about your preferences, and if you want to fill that in, and that will be directed to the relevant consultant, whether it's me, Claire, Sid, or Tyler. And then yeah, we'll arrange a call with you, and then yeah, from there we'll be popping you in touch with the UK team, pretty much if it's within that 12-month period. So yeah, which is really exciting. Yeah. And then Alice asked, what hours is it for supply teaching, e.g. time to be at school / leave? Kate, probably the best to answer this one.
Usually start by 8:30 and leave by 3.
Perfect.
Yeah. If it's any longer than when you get the confirmation text, you'll get the timings on there. So once you've been confirmed for a day of work, you get a confirmation text and email with the timings that you need to arrive and what time it finishes. So all that will come through to you.
Yeah, any other questions? It's exciting. I'm always jealous of talking to everyone heading over to the UK. Wish I was reliving it, moving over. My sister's moving over tomorrow, so I'm very jealous. Yes, that she's doing it. I feel like so many people are heading over, and likewise, lots of people coming to Australia and New Zealand as well, which is epic.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
we've got lots of international educators here in Melbourne.
Yeah.
After
the quiet years of COVID, it's
I know.
so
good.
Best to see all the international movement again. It's fantastic.
Going.